So with the layers pad, I'll just set this out here temporarily. This is the scan that is on there, and the rulers, Command R is going to give me the rulers so I can use a ruler guide, and I'm going to drag a ruler guide out to the vertical part of this, right to the base. And why this is a pretty large scan, so I'm just going to select it, and there's the center point, so I'm going to click and move the center point to the bottom of this section, and then I can just grab the piece and kind of move it around just a little bit, and it's close to being vertical, but again it is a photograph, so it's a little off. And I can lock this, double click this layer, and dim this down, so now I have a new layer, and I'll just type it Snowflake up at the top. So I'm just going to reset this, take the fill off, so I just have the stroke part of it, and just look at this vertical section that's repeated and go through the tools. Here's the elliptical shape. So I'm just going to on the guide. Whether I start these and center them, that's okay, I can always do it later. But then taking the pen tool and just trying to make these shapes. Okay, that's one way to draw it. I can select it and just go all the way down to the top of it, set that curve, and come right back and make that shape. So it's just kind of that particular piece. If this is going to be duplicated, I can select it, just make it a little bit smaller, do the same thing, Option, and put a copy up here, and do the same Option and make a smaller one up at the top. And use the arrow keys to help me position it in there. So you can see there, when I reduced them down, it also changed the weight of the line, so when I click up here, I can just go back to 1 point and set that in there. So if any of these need to be readjusted, but they are aligned, it does have the vertical piece, so I'm just going to take this section, and again in the rotation tool, depending on which tool you have highlighted, it's the reflect tool, and right on the center, I'm going to have these, I'm going to group them together, and then just hold the Option and click in the middle. That sets up the window, and here it is horizontal. When I hit preview, you can see it's making that copy come over. So I'm just going to click OK. Make sure I have it as copy. So Option again, click on there, and just hit copy. So now I have a copy of these two pieces over. This is grouped together, so I can just bump it over just a little bit and set that piece across. For the midpoint of this, I'm just going to draw the rectangular shape about that distance down, and for starters I'm going to take these two pieces and in the align tool just align them so they're centered, okay, and I'm going to move them over just a little bit so they're right in the middle of that section there. Okay, so I'm going to group this together. So just to show you, this is the one part, and these two pieces here, I'm going to group them together. So now they're one piece, just moving it over so you can see it. So I'm going to select the two of them and take the center. So now they're lined up right down the middle. Okay. Now if you remember, the Pathfinder tool is one way to do this. It makes it pretty quick. It's just to click and unite them so now they're all one piece together. If I look closely, I can see that maybe I want to adjust some of this. Take the pen tool, take a look at the point size, and you can see that that's where it's all lined up to. Okay, so now just zoom out a little bit and locate a center. So right now I have this circular piece. I'm going to take the ellipse tool. Again, hold the shift key and the space bar to locate it there. That's the shape. In this case, I'm going to use the thickness of it, and then go to Object, Path, and go to Outline the stroke. So now this has an overall shape to it. Okay, so these are two separate pieces, and again I'm just going to line them up just to make it so that they're centered. Line them up as that happens right there. Okay, so that gives me that section to it. This part I'm just going to click on it in order to see the midpoints of the circle and put a ruler guide down there. This one's locked, so I'm just going to unlock this part. Select these circles to locate again that selection. And I might have to actually put in a new ruler guide. So here's the midpoint, and here's the ruler guide right there. So that's giving me that center. So what's going to happen is I'm going to rotate this shape around. So select it, take the rotation tool, click right in the midpoint of that centered circle, and just highlight 360. Use the slash for divide. There's 6 of these. And hit copy. And just hit Command D. And that shoots them all around across that section there. And you can see how they're connected here. Okay. The next one are these smaller ones. So I'll select this outside one, copy it, and go Object. And just go Edit, Paste into place. So under Edit, Paste in place. And if I zoom out, I can actually shift this down a little bit, make it a little bit smaller. And this now is going to be for the smaller midpoint sections that you see there. Okay, so if I line these up here, see if this will line this section up. And as I zoom down, I'm just kind of highlighting it, getting it right into the middle there. And lining it up with this piece here. Okay, so now that's right there in the middle. It's coming across. So if you had to mathematically put it in, that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 spaces across. Why this is selected, take the rotation tool, Option and click in the middle, and just do at every 30 degrees. Just click off and on to preview, and just hit copy. Could have set it up differently. I just showing you that there's a dozen going across, so all I have to do is go back and take these out. Make sure I take out the right ones, the overlapping ones. Okay, so now that gives me that particular shape. Now before I do anything further, it's always a good idea to copy this in case you have a different function to it. And now when I highlight this, I'm going to use Pathfinder again to unite it, and then just give it a color so that you can see the inside of that part. Okay, so give that a try. It's just using Illustrator, rotating pieces, and duplication.